Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be My Wife Acts Like She's Single. Is it worth saving? Well, this particular email is actually the second email that I've gotten from this particular guy. And so, almost a year ago, I got an email from him because the same behavior was going on. You've been following me for a while. You probably heard me say many times people don't change. They may become a better version of who they are, but typically they don't change. Somebody who's a liar and a cheater typically just becomes better at being a liar and a cheater and hiding their actions so you can't figure out what they're doing. And so he writes in a new email update. And the previous email was my wife and her male orbiters. And so she's inviting attention from other guys, especially coworkers. He would bring it up. He's like, hey, that's inappropriate. Oh, you just get jealous too easily. And, he sets healthy boundaries and she just continually violates them. And so recently he told her that she needs to move out because she's still doing it. But he's thinking, is it possible that this is going to change? Because nobody wants to go through a divorce. You don't want to go tell breakups are bad enough, but a divorce on top of that, telling everybody that, hey, we're splitting up and here's why we're split. Because everyone's like, why? What happened? I thought you guys were so... It just sucks having to go through all that. So you can understand the last thing you want to do, just like, the last thing you're thinking of when you're getting married is getting a divorce. And then when you actually go through it or go through the motions or file, it's just... And especially once she gets an attorney, because divorce attorneys, they make their money by keeping the conflict going. And so if they can keep writing letters back and forth, and especially if you got kids in custody involved, they make a lot more money that way. And it's in their interest to keep the conflict going so they can drain your bank accounts. And then they walk off with all of your money, and then you walk away hating each other, and you and her, and if you had kids together, now you got to deal with the consequences of basically making the divorce attorneys rich, or richer, I should say. And a lot of them, quite frankly, are just scumbags. But that's the world we live in. So you can understand, anybody that's married, and even when you see this just disgusting behavior with your supposed wife, who's supposed to be your teammate, when, in essence, what this woman continues to do, she's young, she's in her early 20s still, because they got married when they were young, is that she continues to act like she's single. And so she's constantly giving guys the impression that she may be available, and she goes and she hangs out, she has drinks with these dudes. And it's like she creates the conditions where she allows these guys to think that they can possibly seduce her. So let's go through this guy's email. He says, hey, Corey, I sent an email a couple of months ago. It was actually almost a year ago. I think it was like August of 2022, and we're now in early June of 2023, so it's almost a full year ago. He says, you responded to it, and the video was brutally honest. It made me change my perspective on our relationship. Since then, I have read your book twice, and I'm working on a third. Obviously, he's talking about 3% Man. Almost a year, and you still only got through it twice. Come on, dude. I followed your instructions, but she only told me what I wanted to hear. And now I'm in the same position. So he confronted her about it. She promised to change. Oh, it won't happen again. Obviously, she just continued to do what she did before because character is destiny. This is who she is. Recently, I asked my wife to move out, and I just want to know your advice on if I should try to continue the marriage, should the opportunity arise, and if so, have I taken the correct steps? Well, before you ever get to the point where you're filing for divorce, you need to go talk to a divorce attorney who's licensed to practice divorce law in your state. But just keep in mind, once your wife gets her attorney, then what that guy's going to try to convince her to do is get all kinds of things she's probably not entitled to from a negotiation perspective. They're going to ask for way more than they expect to get. Probably he'll be asking for things that are absurd, which will probably piss you off because you'll be like, hey, it's a simple marriage. We don't have kids. We don't have property together or whatever. But they make money by keeping the conflict going. So just keep that in mind. And you should have that, because typically oftentimes the guy ends up eating both attorneys' bills, which is not fair, but the laws are the way they are. And people that live in the blue states, they keep voting for the same things, and That's why people say, why haven't you got married, Corey? It's like, number one, I don't want to get married. I don't have any desire to get married. I may someday maybe get us married civilly, but I'm never going to involve the government in a relationship of mine again. It's just totally unnecessary. And it doesn't do anything to help the guy legally protect his downside risk. It's just completely the way most of the laws are written, they're all in favor of women, especially in the blue states. So he says, my wife and I have been together for 4 years and married for 2. We married far too young, her being 19 and me 22. Yeah, it is pretty young. But then again, my parents, but this was in the 60s. They married each other. They were high school sweethearts. Obviously, it didn't work out. My mother became mentally ill. And if you guys have read Mastering Yourself, you know how that turned out. He says, we married far too young, her being 19, me 22. A year into our marriage, I caught her hiding and deleting messages with coworkers. So it wasn't just one coworker, it was multiple male coworkers. A year later, I still catch her doing questionable things despite her knowing I am against it. So that tells me she doesn't respect you, and she doesn't love you, and quite frankly, she doesn't give a damn. She's going to do what she wants. Why? Because character is destiny. This is what her family taught her. So it doesn't matter what a good dude you are, she just has no integrity. He says, a few days ago, I heard that she went out with her friend on her birthday, and she disappeared only to be found 30 minutes later at the bar with a guy. He was flirting, getting her drunk, and honestly just trying to get lucky. And she was enjoying the attention. This is not appropriate behavior for a woman who is committed to be marriage in sickness and in health, for rich or for poor, till death do us part. This is a girl who, she's a fuck buddy, a friends with benefits, a party girl. She's not wife material. And this is why I keep telling guys that want to get married, is like, you should date for several years, ideally even live together. Because if you don't live together and then you get married, it's like, at least if you live together and you can't get along, you can move out and go your separate ways. But there are states that have common law marriage. If you live together like 10 years, then you're automatically considered marriage and you have to go through the divorce process. So if you live in one of those states where those laws exist, you might want to consider moving or not living with anybody or living close by. It's just not worth it, especially if you're going to do well and be successful. I talked with her about everything. I told her that I was not okay with her going to bars with her single girlfriends without me anymore. She is claiming that I just want to control her. You see, no, it's respect. The only reason you want to go to the bars with your single girlfriends is you want to talk to and you want to flirt with other guys. You're not going there because you want to be a good model wife. You wouldn't like it if I was going out with a bunch of my single guy friends and getting hit on by hot girls that wanted to take me home and were trying to convince me to take me home and sleep with them. You wouldn't like that. And if we're going to stay married, you're just not going to do that. But obviously, after all this time, she continues to do it. She doesn't see a problem with it. She tells you you're being unreasonable. Therefore, you have a value. Your values are in conflict with one another. You know it's inappropriate. I know it's inappropriate. Every other guy knows it's inappropriate for their wives to be doing these things, but she didn't care. You gave her your reasoning. She says you're jealous and insecure. It's like, this is just a woman that doesn't have the character and the integrity to be a monogamous, committed wife. She's a party girl. She's a hookup girl. She's, just not somebody you want as a girlfriend either, because she's just not loyal. She doesn't value it. She said that no matter what she does, I'm always going to find a reason to be jealous. It's like, it's not jealous, it's called respect. And obviously you don't respect me enough to not go out and act like you're single. You wouldn't like it if I did it, but you want to be able to do it, and then I bring it up and we talk about this, and you want to say I'm just being jealous. It's like, no, I don't trust you. You're not giving me a reason to trust you. You're not being loyal. You're acting like a hoe. And I don't want to be in a marriage with a hoe. I don't think she can even acknowledge to herself that putting herself in these positions is wrong. After going in circles for about an hour and neither of us budging, she told me she just couldn't be who I needed her to be. Oh, so loyalty's out of the question, monogamy's out of the question for you. Okay, no problem. You're a fuck buddy, friends with benefits, sex playmate. You're not a wife material. You're not girlfriend material. You're just not capable of monogamy, loyalty, exclusivity. I'm glad we got that handled. So from this point forward, I'm single and you're single. You can do whatever you want, but you're not bringing anybody back to my house that I pay for. So I asked her to move out, he says, back to his email. She asked where she was supposed to go, and I replied, I don't know, but you can't stay here anymore. I was like, where am I supposed to go? It's like, you have shown me through your actions over the last couple of years that in your mind, you're single and you can go out with your single girlfriends and flirt with guys and let them buy you drinks and let them think it's okay to try to get in your pants when your husband is at home waiting for you. And I don't want to live like this. I don't want a wife that behaves this way. And you see no problem with it. And after the last couple of years, you've gone around in circles about this. You're not going to change. This is who you are. So I want a loyal and faithful wife. You're not capable of being that. You don't share the same values where that could even be possible. Doesn't matter what you say or what comes out of your mouth. I've got your behavior over the last few years, and that tells me everything I need to know. He says, I told her I don't want to sign papers for divorce until I'm done with this last semester of paramedic school. Quite frankly, I would get the divorce done as quickly as possible, because what happens if she gets knocked up, you slip one past the goalie, or somebody else knocks her up. Again, there are states where if you're married and your wife gets knocked up by somebody else, doesn't matter if it's not your kid, the state will still make you support and raise a child. So, I don't know where you live, but you better go talk to a divorce attorney and figure this shit out ASAP, dude. I told her if she changes her mind in those 3 months, then she can call me and we can discuss it, but there will have to be big changes to our marriage dynamic. We haven't talked in a week, and I will not reach out to her. I have given her every chance to change. People don't change. They may become a better version of who they are, but they don't change. In the last year, all we've really seen her do since the last, email that you sent almost a year ago is that she may became a little better at hiding it, but quite frankly, nothing's changed. She still thinks there's nothing wrong with it. Deep down, she knows there is, but she thinks that you're a pushover, and quite frankly, she's gotten away with it all the time that you guys have been together. And if we look at her actions communicate her intent. Her intent is to do whatever the hell she wants. So you did the right thing by kicking her out and tell her to go on down the road and she can date and screw whoever she wants. And if I was you, I'd get back out there and start dating and start screwing whoever the hell you want, because this girl is not going to be loyal to you or anybody for that matter. Basically, I just want to know if this marriage is worth salvaging. Well, all you have to do is bottom line her actions for the last year. You've set healthy boundaries, and she's violated them every single time, and the only thing left to do now is enforce them. He says, I don't think that she has physically cheated on me. Even if she did, she's going to lie to you about it anyway. She ain't going to tell you the truth because she's a liar. But I think she has been emotionally. Well, again, she behaves like a girl that's enjoying and getting attention from other men, and she's not going to stop. And if you want to have kids someday, you don't want your wife out when you're at home with the kids, getting bent over in the bathroom by Chad Thundercock, and then she comes home to you, and first thing she does is go right to take a shower to wash off his pecker tracks and everything else. This sucks, but she had her chance. You gave her tons of chances. She's not going to change. She won't change. She argues with you. She's a good person at heart. No, she's not, dude. That's delusional to think that way. But it's never had an example of a healthy marriage. That is not your problem. That's not your fault. That's her family's fault. They raised her to be this way. Your job as a man is to recognize her behavior and vet her properly and recognize the fact that she's not capable of loyalty, monogamy, exclusivity. She doesn't respect you. She doesn't respect herself. She doesn't respect marriage. She doesn't respect commitment. She doesn't respect keeping her word. Again, these are the girls you hook up with, fuck buddy, friends with benefits, sex playmate, but you don't ever marry them. No way. You don't make them your girlfriend either. They're just not going to be loyal. He says, I love her and things are great between us when this isn't going on. Well, it's always going on, but you just don't know about it. It's in the times where you do find out about it that it really pisses you off and you have problems, but she continues to do it. She hasn't stopped and she won't stop. She doesn't want to stop. He says, but I know I deserve better. Should she come back? Should I give her one last chance? It's your life. You can do what you want. If it was me, I wouldn't give her any more chances. It's like, I could tell, I went back and I looked through the original email that you sent, And you guys can go look at that original video newsletter and see it for yourself and read the email on the website. There'll be a link in the article on my website where you can go check the original one out. But it's like nothing's changed. You've told her what you wanted. You told her what needed to change, and she just basically gave you the big hairy middle finger. She don't care. Should I give her one last chance and demand a drastic change, or should I just move on with my life? I would move on with my life and go find somebody else, because it's obvious that your wife is determined to do what she wants to do. So let her have her fun. Let her go out and hang out with Chad Thundercock and get reamed up, rack out a high body count, whatever the hell she wants to do. This is part of the vetting process. So you have to be able to judge a woman's character. And when you see signs like this, that she's doing these kinds of things, this is why you shouldn't get married right away either. Because people go and they get all emotional and they get married or move in after a few months of knowing each other. And then this behavior comes out, and then and then they're married. They're like, they run off and get married right away. And then they never took the time to vet them because they were in La La Land, because they were still infatuated when they got married, and were just completely ignoring the red flags that are there. And once that wears off, then you realize, man, I basically turned a hoe into a housewife. It's like, you can't fix that. You can't work with that. It's not your fault. I mean, you didn't vet her properly, but it's not your fault for her behavior. Her behavior is on her and her family. Your job as a man is to recognize this is who she is. You want loyalty, monogamy, exclusivity. She's not capable of giving that to you. And quite frankly, in an indirect way, she's basically told you she's not going to give that to you. She doesn't want to change. She wants to be a party girl. She wants to go out with her single girlfriends and party like a rock star. Let her. Go find a woman who has the same values as you. I wouldn't give her. It's your life. You can do whatever you want. But if it was me, I would have dipped last year. I wouldn't have put up with it. But you do you, boo-boo. I'm just saying, it's like, it didn't change then. It obviously hasn't changed yet. And as Gerald Celente of the Trends Research Institute says, current events form future trends. It's like she's still behaving exactly the same way that she was a year ago when you wrote me that first email. So if we look at her actions, it's obvious she doesn't care. Whatever comes out, like you said, she told you what you wanted to hear, and then she continued to be who she really was. Simple as that. As Maya Angelou said, when somebody tells you or shows you who they are, believe them the first time. We should have believed her the last summer. You gave her the benefit of the doubt. She still didn't change. And now you're like, well, should I give her another chance? It's like, no, I would not. But you do you. So if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.